Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Christmas time is here. That's right. We're going home for the holidays to Amityville on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings, salutations, and jingle bells, everyone. It's that holiday season here at the Kill by Kill podcast, the show dedicated to talking about horror movie characters in the order in which they die. And as you can tell, I've lost the plot in terms of this opening, but I don't really care. It's the season of forgiveness and for presents. And of course, there's only one person I trust. Is if I need her to say a prayer for me in a church, she'll shout that prayer so loud she goes blind. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I'm sweating. I'm screaming. You know how like the kids on the internets when they get news about something they say they're shaking and crying. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just raising my voice to the heavens.
Holy jamoli. If you have a fetish and that fetish is watching people hold their hands over their ears and sweat, this movie is like Pornhub for you.
I feel like we're gonna have a little bit of a problem here, a little conflict on the Kill by Kill podcast that we've never experienced before.
I mean, what conflict did you think might arise via watching the Amityville Horror 1979?
I kind of like this movie. And you called it. You texted me approximately 5 minutes before we were supposed to record, and you said, "Hang on, finishing up this turn." And I'm like, oh boy.
Yes. Yeah. Gina, we are gonna have conflict. This is
it's gonna be fisticuffs.
This is like most holidays when families get together. And then all of a sudden, this small thing that really shouldn't matter divides an entire family. And the thing that will divide us here today is whether or not the 1979 version of the Amityville Horror is a good movie. And while I do think there are good parts to it, I think it is an overripe concoction. I think it's boring. It could lose at least 25 fucking minutes. And there is zero tension to it. And I think the third act is really oversold. That's it. It's not that it has never affected me. As I've said on the podcast before, the sequence in which the windowsill slams on that kid's hand traumatized me.
Well, I really came to look at it from a different light after reading Stephen King's Danse Macabre, in which which he basically brings up the idea that the real terror in Amityville Horror is not of ghosts or whatever it is that supposedly compelled the young man to murder the family in the house before the Lutzes moved in.
Mm-hmm.
It's being financially in way over your fucking head. And
yes,
I mean, you kind of had to understand it to really understand it. If you get what I'm saying, like the whole thing is the minute these people walk into the house, they're like, we made a huge mistake. And it's not even because the house is allegedly haunted. It's we have spent every dime to our name for this house, and we have nothing left.
Yes. And that I don't disagree with. I think that there are two really interesting facets to this motion picture. Well, maybe even three. But let's start with this one, because I think what King brings up in Danse Macabre, book that we've mentioned many times on the show, and I think is worth people reading. But in particular to the Amityville Horror, his sell that this is, at its core, a capitalist nightmare. And the core scene to that sort of proposal is when the brothers' $1,500 of cash goes disappearing, just disappears into thin air the day before his wedding. And the movie is essentially stating that the house is fucking with them and just taking cash out of their pocket. It is just causing havoc for the sake of havoc. It is a literal money pit that is sucking them dry, to the point in which Kathy looks at herself in the mirror and goes, "I'm old." And that is supposed to be spookifying. Again, intellectually, I think it is super interesting. As the film tells it, I'm unconvinced.
What I was going to say is I think it's a really good concept, but the execution is lacking. I mean, the problem is, as you say, it's a little flabby in places. And honestly, when the 2005 remake, tries to punch things up a bit with, CGI, and then, in addition to like this Indian burial ground nonsense, now there's also this whole other, person is like catch him and kill him. And actually that did not make it any more interesting.
No, I don't think it does. No. And the Indian burial ground element of it is so tacked on, even to the 79 version, which, Helen Shaver comes into this movie literally gassed up on diesel. I mean, she is hitting the 4th or 5th cup of high grade coffee before every single scene. She can vibrate through walls. That is the intensity that she is working at in this motion picture.
I do miss
she's like,
you don't actually see anymore in horror movies too often the random character who just happens to have a friend who's psychic and can kind of connect with what's going on in a haunted house or something like that. That's like a horror movie trope you really don't see anymore, and I'd be curious
that needs a comeback.
Right, I'd be curious as to why that's no longer a thing.
I don't know. It's because it's not like white ladies have stopped being spiritual, or burning sage.
No. I mean, if anything, if you look at TikTok or whatever, every other person, believes they have some connection with the spirit world. So I'm not sure why. In movies, current movies don't reflect that.
So I agree with the sort of capitalist nightmare of it all. I mean, I've said it before, and you never know where someone starts the podcast, so I'll say it again. The very first panic attack that I ever had that sent me to the hospital was reviewing the numbers of the house. When we bought it, we just started to sketch it out on pencil and paper of how much the house was going to cost. And the amount of zeros that were attached to everything sent me into a tizzy. Literally, I thought I was going to die. And I intellectually knew I wasn't having a heart attack, but you would be hard pressed to tell my body that. It was rather convinced. And when I, told the intake person, I believe I'm not having a heart attack. I believe I'm having a panic attack. I can't tell myself to calm down. It's not working. We're buying the house. He goes, no, sit down. I'm going to inject you with some things. Explain no further was the medical advice I got. You're just like, I've seen this before. You're buying a house. Let's inject some shit into your veins, my man, because it is terrifying to put yourself in that level of debt. It is also terrifying to think that the level of debt they're putting themselves in is $80,000, Gina. no small chunk of change,
Yeah,
but fuck you.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's $70. That's a fair amount. And also, have you ever read the book?
I haven't. I read one of the sequels, and for whatever reason, I never picked up the Jay Anson original.
For absolute 75% to 90% horse shit, it's pretty well written. I mean, it reads like a novel because it essentially is a novel. It's mostly fiction. So George is actually the kid's stepfather. And he's running this contracting business. They buy this. It's so many bad decisions at once that the movie doesn't really get a chance to dip into. This is all their money. Kathy doesn't work. George is a contractor. They buy the house right before Christmas. It's the slowest when they're getting into the slowest time of the year for contracting. It's just one bad decision after another. He resents her because he feels that she pressured him into buying a house. She resents him because they don't have enough money. They're just, and it sort of feeds into that trope of, if your house is haunted, it's going to feed on negative energy. So right from the start, the minute they walk in that door, it's just coming in hot with negative
And that's
energy.
where I think, again, intellectually, this movie operates at a level that I find interesting, in that the house has sensed a fissure in their marriage and is preying on it constantly. I mean, when we first meet them, they are so hot for one another. They are fucking on the carpet where people were murdered.
I that's another aspect I really love about this story is the reason why this enormous house is so cheap. And I don't know why I'm telling people this, even if you haven't seen any of the Amityville movies, the concept, but is because an entire family, I want to say like 6 people were murdered in the house. Now that part is true. That part actually happened. So a year later, they get this house and it's huge. It's got like, it's got all this land behind it. They got a dock. Even there's a boat that comes with it. It's still furnished with the deceased family's furniture.
It's fully furnished.
And they just keep it all. They're not worried that they're so, strapped for cash that they can't afford to replace the furniture. And I mean, I don't know about you. I am a very superstitious person. I would have a lot of problems living in a house in which a murder took place, let alone with the belongings of the people that were killed in the house still there. Yes. Everybody's sleeping on air mattresses, as far as I'm concerned, until we can get new furniture.
Yes, or in a tent outside. That's the sort of tempting offer that they're sort of given by the house. It draws them in. But I also don't quite understand what the house is trying to get out of them. You know what I mean? In Poltergeist, you kind of understand what the spirits are attempting to do with that family. They're using that little girl to get to the other side. And so a lot of the stuff that's happening is communication errors. They're just spooky ass ghosts who can't talk. And so they're like, I don't know, we got to suck that little chick into a closet in order to get us where we need to go. And everything else that happens is kind of like, a sideline project. And then one ghost doesn't make it out. It's like, you know what? I'm going to suck this entire house into a vortex. You're like, all right, I get it. I get that house's game. This one, a lot of variable strength action happening. It's like, hey, I can make this priest get into a car accident and get blinded in a church miles away. But also, I'm kind of a spooky pig. Like, choose a fucking lane, house.
Well, again, if you all the like sort of lore behind it, I think that people kind of just added it as their, and then it sort of was accepted as, oh, okay, that's what's going on here. Where like there's supposed to be a ghost child in it, and and again, to go back to, it's supposedly buried not just on a indigenous burial ground, but a burial ground for people who were sick or mentally ill that were abandoned by their tribes. Now, people have researched if such a thing existed in the Amityville area at any point.
Right.
Not.
Sure. No, of course not.
There is no record of any any of the grounds or land in that part of New York State being used for that purpose. So I mean, it's the people who live in Amityville, got real tired of hearing about, the Amityville Horror probably about 2 weeks after it came out. To the point where they actually completely changed the facade of the house. They had already changed it by the time the movie came out, because the exterior shots were filmed in Toms River, New Jersey. I know this because I demanded that my aunt, who lived in Toms River at the time, drive me past the house so I could see it. They later changed the entire house number because people would drive by the house and say, well, there it is. And it began to create a problem for people who just wanted to live quietly on Ocean Avenue. So they changed the house number.
I mean, this is one of the few times we ever see the house actually in America, because the two movies we have covered were both filmed in Mexico. They had to leave the country to make these movies after this.
I think generally they're all filmed in Bulgaria, which used to be the horror movie filming location of choice.
You can do anything there. Their main interior product is fake blood, apparently. I might remind our audience, or maybe they don't know, that the Amityville Horror was not merely a success. It was the second highest grossing motion picture of all of 1979. It was a fucking phenomenon. Okay. Alien did not make as much money as the Amityville Horror did. So that's how huge this fucking movie is. And again, intellectually, I get it. But the movie itself is a tad high-strung, Gina.
Yeah, I it tried to weigh the good points and the bad points. For me, a good point is the nun who starts backing out of the driveway and stops, like, yeah! She's just a great on-screen vomiter.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
No. Like, it's a scene primarily meant as Mad Magazine bait. They just, like, as soon as the writers and cartoonists at Mad Magazine saw that, they're like, oh, you're just doing our job for us, baby. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the one thing that everybody can remember, whether you've watched Amityville Horror once or 100 times, is it is a real competition for who is the biggest ham between James Brolin, Jimmy B, and one Rod Steiger,
Roddy Steiger,
who can overact without speaking. He can overact without speaking. It's remarkable.
It's like his blood is boiling within his skin. He's just shaking.
He's like turning into that one scene in the church. He's like turning into a werewolf, basically. Like, he is literally like howling at the moon by the end of that scene.
He goes so crazy. His character goes blind. That is, and does his kind of boyfriend there not see the statues bursting inside the church? He's so like, What is this?
Well, I think I always got the impression he was hallucinating that the devil's kind of messing with him. Like it's in the book, it's more that he just gives him a skin rash, which is kind of funny.
That seems more the speed of what, I'm not going to say it's reality because all of this is bullshit, but,
the devil gives him a skin rash and then gives him some car trouble.
You get some hellish eczema. That makes a lot more sense. But
then you've got this. Let's not overlook this first scene when he goes to the house to bless the house, and he gets caught in this I guess it's supposed to be a sewing room or something. Who knows?
There's a lot of fucking rooms in this house.
The room that's filled with flies.
If you were walking around with a shotgun, you'd have a hard time finding so many people to kill.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like when you feel for this family, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you don't need this much fucking house. It is like you two and three kids. You get a nice 3-bedroom rancher or something. Those boys can share a room.
They are sharing a fucking room. That's the crazy thing, Gina. It's got 58 rooms and they're in the goddamn attic, which means you have to put them to bed. You have to walk 4 fucking flights of stairs to put children to bed. Fuck that.
Which is probably put them in the attic, which is probably not heated.
No.
Because most attics are not.
No. And meanwhile, you've got a character walking around. James Brolin looks like if Wolfman Jack went through a Playgirl training camp. And he's constantly running around in a dirty sweatshirt, shivering because he's so fucking cold. Or he's chopping wood to look hot. Not Amityville Horror 2005 level hot, but pretty damn good for 1979 when he's not in gray beard, like frazzled Jesus. It's a real variable look.
I was going to say it's kind of more of a Charles Manson thing to me.
Sure, yes. And the thing that this movie posits that he somehow looks like the oldest son who murdered the rest of the family, well, that gets really lost in too, because that kid looks zero like James Brolin, Josh Brolin, whichever Brolin this fucking is.
Well, the interesting thing is he does sort of look like the real guy a little bit. Like the guy in Amityville 2 doesn't look anything at all like
not even with his face
real life guy. No. But getting back to the scene where Steiger goes into this sewing room, he's trapped in the room.
This film,
the door swings shut. He doesn't even try to open it. I don't think it just swings shut on his own. He doesn't say like, "Hey, I'm locked in." I mean, and I think that they're in the house, or they're like outside or something.
They're in the boat,
so he could get their attention. Right. So, he could be like waving at the window or something.
Yeah.
Also, someone comes into your house to bless your house, you leave, rude. It's like, just wait downstairs till he's done. Yeah. My God.
No,
just have a complete stranger walking around your house.
Yeah, bless it while we're gone. There's a 20 on the nightstand. Hit the curb. What more do you need? There's a happy sandwich in the fridgie. You can have that if you like. Yeah, sure. Yeah. There's a halfie of beer. Go for it.
But he just starts reacting to things like soundlessly. And honestly, it's like he just got struck with like the worst case of diarrhea in someone's life. He's sweating, he's grimacing, his hands are shaking. And it's like, I'm not quite, I guess there's supposed to be like a bad smell or something.
Sure.
And he just let these flies just kind of like, hello, hi, hello, just kind of like, light off his face. He's just sort of just standing there like cringing and grimacing and sweating and like, and not like, hey, help, stop, dear God, please, what is this? Nothing. Just, everything is, he's just like doing some kind of like mime routine.
Right. Steiger looks like he's holding his breath after running a 400-meter sprint. He is dying for oxygen, but refuses to give himself any. He is playing this scene with all the subtlety of the angry orange. It just is a sight to behold, quite honestly. He runs away with it for me in terms of the acting Olympics, and he's barely in the movie. And I say that because it's nearly 2 fucking hours, and you could cut a lot of his scenes. But if you did, then you would cut out the scene of Murray Hamilton showing up. And you know you're in trouble when Murray Hamilton is there to say, forget everything you know. I've got this handled. Fucking run, baby.
Well, the funny thing is that both the character, both in the movie and in the book, like he's no help at all. Like just absolutely no help. Yeah. The book does go a little more into his experience. Because again, as you say, they kind of play a little fast and loose with, what exactly is going on in this house. Because if you're going to be a traditionalist, a haunted house, everything that's in the house stays in the house. It doesn't follow you from place to place. Yeah. That's a poltergeist.
You're right. Yeah.
And then of course in later movies, all 450 of them, it's not just that the house is haunted, but things that were in the house, if you take them away, they take a little piece of the evil with them.
Yeah.
And so you have a haunted clock, a haunted dollhouse. Later you have a haunted vibrator for the adults in the audience. All of it has a little, as you like to say, a little skosh of evil. But here it's like everybody that comes into the house is affected by this. Yeah. It takes some evil with them, like some leftover turkey at Thanksgiving. So you have this priest who goes to the house to bless it. He has this experience. And then, like as I say, the devil gives him a skin condition. It makes prank calls to the rectory. It causes car problems, and much of it is him sort of having this tormented debate with himself as to whether or not he can continue helping this family. And then in the end, he's like, nah, I don't think so. That's the last we hear from him.
You know what? Life's too fucking short, and I have an eternity to look forward to. It's too short.
It's like that's a YP, not
that is the thing that I think is
so. If you're expecting some like Father Karras heroics in this,
right?
You're going to be disappointed.
No, that's what I think the third salient point of this movie is, and it is a counterpoint to The Exorcist. In that film, the church is all powerful to do something. Now it's not without effort. You got to put in the time. You might have to throw yourself out a window. But the church can do something for you. In the Amityville Horror, the church can't do shit. Like anyone with any amount of Catholicism to them just starts staggering and puking moments within going under the, doorway of this fucking house. It can,
they just act like somebody just laid a dookie right in front of them.
Right, exactly. And to the point where it's getting Rod Steiger into easily avoidable car crashes. He's not even the one fucking driving in that scene. And the guy who is driving is like, I don't know, maybe the wheel was stuck or something. Like, man, you're not even fucking helpful at all.
Yeah, it's maybe it's probably one of those things that's like tied up in a little childhood nostalgia for me.
Sure.
I certainly thought that this movie was pretty scary when I was a kid, especially the babysitter getting locked in the closet thing. That was pretty effective.
Yes.
And it was tied up in the book for me because I did, as I mentioned, often my parents really didn't monitor what I read or watched. So I read the book of this when I was probably like, I don't know, 9 or 10.
Uh-huh.
And it's a pretty, I'm sure if I read it now, I'd be like, oh, come on. But, for a kid, it was pretty effective. Yeah. And I don't know. It's like, it's sort of like, is The Exorcist too intense for you? Watch the Amityville Horror.
Right. Yes. That might have been it. I think that it spoke to the time in which it happened. Because in 1979, you have inflation going crazy. People are genuinely dissatisfied. The 70s have unmoored a lot of people in terms of their values, in terms of what they held in regard. People are straying away from government. They're straying away from the church. They don't believe in institutions anymore. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. And as a result, the story of the sacrosanct American dream of owning a home and that going truly sideways on you is very resonant. Again, intellectually, the Amityville Horror works, but there are moments in this movie that are so the sound mix here is designed to get a dictator to leave his spider hole. It's just full of cat scares and someone walks into a room and you're seeing someone shotgun blast a blob and blood going everywhere. And you're like, is this? This is not
I love that. I love that bit at the beginning where she's like the real estate lady is walking them around and it's like, and this is the children's room. Then she'll a child's dead body.
Yeah. And because the audience is experiencing the horror movie, the people in the horror movie are not experiencing the horror movie. And it comes off like all the worst instincts of what would eventually be jump scare driven haunted house movies. It's kind of why we don't cover a lot of them because A, not a lot of people die, and that's kind of our thing around here. And B, I think they fall into some really unnecessary traps in order to ratchet up tension. Because ultimately, if it was that fucking scary from the jump, you'd leave the goddamn house. It is the Eddie Murphy routine all over again. It's just like, I don't know, man. The house tells you to get out. Fucking get out.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's interesting that because we didn't do the first. Well, we covered the movies overall in the Conjuring universe.
Yeah,
and I feel like that the Conjuring did the essentially exact same story because they too bought a house that was maybe a little bit out of their outside their means.
Yeah.
And yet I feel like the Conjuring was so much more of an effectively done movie.
Yes.
That I feel is genuinely scary, but it has it does fall into potentially a lot of the same traps.
But you have a director whose skill level at that particular type of motion picture is at its height. He absolutely knows what to do to twist an audience into a feeling of unease. And he reserves his jump scares for very specific moments and calmly builds towards them as to not give you false scares, but really lead you towards a satisfying scare. Stuart Rosenberg, meanwhile, the guy who directed this film, has plenty of, movies that made money in his past. No one's going to begrudge him directing Cool Hand Luke or my personal favorite, The Drowning Pool, which I believe is fucking awesome. But the sort of desaturated haze made for TV movie look of this film also instantly dates it. And the lack of subtlety raises it to campy heights at certain levels. And then sometimes the camp is just, it's not fun or funny. It's just, it seems like incompetence.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was a genre he was comfortable directing. Sure. Whereas with The Conjuring, obviously, that's mostly what the director does. Yeah. Yeah, and it's choices were made that you could see why The Conjuring was better overall, in that it doesn't take very long for them to figure out there's something wrong with the house. They seek out help pretty quickly, and then the majority of the film is them trying to address the problem, whereas with the Amityville Horror, it's 2 hours of, well, that's strange, I wonder what's with this goop running down the wall, or why can't anyone come into our house without becoming violently ill? It's like, and then it's the last 15 minutes where we're gonna get the fuck out of here.
Yes. And the we gotta get the fuck out of here sequence is them slipping down the stairs and someone is shaking an avid machine. It's just emotionally, I get what it's going for, and it must have resonated, but well after the fact, you see a lot of the seams here, and if it was all Rod Steiger level moments, I think it would be one thing. But poor Margot Kidder, who I hate to be horny on me, but is slamming in this motion picture. She's hot in this film. Do you have to do ballet exercises in an open shirt and just one leg warmer and panties? No, but she does. And she wears it fucking well.
Yeah, I'm not sure I don't remember a whole lot about 1979, but I don't know if the one leg warmer thing was trendy or not.
Do you have to put a flower in your hair before sex? No, but for some reason it works for Margot Kidder, so I'm okay with it. Again, on a horny level,
she seems like the type who might have put a flower in her hair.
Absolutely,
having sex with someone.
100%. She was
that's what she refers to it as making love.
Right. Yeah. She's putting flowers in her hair. She's doing cocaine. She's getting Steven Spielberg laid. These are the things that Margot Kidder is good at. A year after fucking Superman, she's doing it at the top level. James Brolin, I fucking cannot tell the difference between these two people who are related to one another. James Brolin is just bug-eyed, like he's been in the trenches of Nam through half of this thing. And the way they convey this a lot of the time for almost every character is they get gray face. They just, parts of their face go gray.
He turns gray, I guess he stops trimming his beard and he gets this sort of mad scientist hair,
yes.
where it just
he's inventing a time machine.
It looks like he stuck his finger in an electrical socket.
Yeah.
And again in the book, if I recall, he's as soon as they move it, he becomes sick.
Yeah.
He can't go to work because he gets some kind of stomach flu that never seems to go away. So that would explain why he looks so terrible. I'm not quite sure why he's supposed to look so terrible in this. I mean, you could say, maybe he's possessed by whatever is in the house. It's I guess, sure.
I mean, when you got toilets overflowing with black goo, and his first responses go, Kathy, as if Kathy has made black goo come out of your fucking toilet. That's obviously not a single person's issue, my man.
Yeah, and half the shit they're blaming on the kids.
Right, yeah.
It's okay, what do you think the children are doing to make a room, smell like something died in it?
Well, we've both had children. It's possible. It is possible. For them to create some very noxious gases. There's new intakes and outtakes. You're working out the kinks in that system. Shit happens, quite literally.
But yeah, they don't. It takes about halfway through the movie before anybody starts expressing any genuine concern about what might might be going on in the house.
Yes. It takes James Brolin going on a day trip to town where he walks in and out of City Hall and the local library and a bar, stealing everything he can, punching out his coworkers for anyone to go, maybe it's the house doing this. Meanwhile, at least we get Margot Kidder rocking some fat ass glasses and going to the local newspaper so she can do research on microfiche, Gina.
Woo! Microfiche.
Microfiche. Oh, it's the best. More people need to do research on microfiche. It's awesome.
I love, there's nothing more I like, and this movie does it, than when someone is like whizzing through the microfiche, they stop on exactly the headline they need.
No, it's the best. It's the best. How could you possibly miss it?
It's even better. It's even better than when somebody turns on the radio and hears the exact significant news story they need to hear.
Yes, the headline: someone has escaped from the mental institution, and the local sheriff's office asks for you to lock your doors and stay inside tonight. That sort of the plot furtherance broadcast network.
Exactly.
I will say that the one device that I like about the movie, and it's stealing it from The Haunting, but it still works, is that something terrible happens every night at 3:15 a.m. Of course, the original bad thing that happened at 3:15 a.m. is the DeFeo family kid shot his entire family. So now that this new family is in, when 3:15 hits, evil's hitting the peak of its spooky rave, and James Brolin has to get up and something awry happened, and he's like, damn it, I'm going to go smoke in the boathouse. That being said, it somewhat undercuts it that terrible things are also happening all the time, every other day.
Well, yeah, and I do actually like the 3:15 thing, because there is actually a little real life folklore behind that.
Okay.
In that's considered like the time between around between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning is, if you believe in this kind of shit. And I don't, but it's fascinating to read. It's supposed to be when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest.
Okay.
And when you're most likely to hear from, spirits or whatever. And a lot of people, myself included, will often, wake up in the middle of the night, and it's often be between 3 and 4 in the morning.
Huh.
I mean, most of the time we go back to sleep.
Sure.
But it does happen. And it's, of course people say, well, it's your subconscious mind reacting to hearing something but I do like that aspect. And I wish that maybe they had explored that a little more.
Sure.
But, this movie was long enough as it was.
No, that's the one thing. It's not as if it's not giving breath to any of its ideas. It's definitely investing time and dialogue and shaking wet hands to everything. Again, going back to Helen Shaver, who, oh my God, what a performance she delivers. I think she's the one who comes closest to Rod Steiger's level of intensity, because she is going ham, both in fear from the house and then later on, like, you know what? I've got to give into this. I got to see what's doing in that basement. And then just starts opening up a fucking wall all by herself.
Yeah. And then this, I feel like the scene in Barbarian, where he's Justin Long is going around measuring the extra space he has found in his home that he didn't know was there. I feel like it's kind of an homage to this, there's this mysterious room hidden in here that we didn't know about. And, again, nobody is really, they're mildly perplexed.
Yeah.
that this room is that does not show up on the the blueprints of the house, which to be like, okay, we're bricking that up now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's probably something evil.
And it doesn't help that it's like, it's the least interesting version of that hell well, as opposed to like in 2, it's just full of demonic shit. And then in 3, it's a hot tub demon and who blows somebody's face off. Like, you're really stepping some shit up here. And in this one, they open up that wall and James Brolin looks inside and he sees a wavy version of himself, like it's an episode of Fantasy Island.
Here is your future.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What else haven't we talked about? I don't know. When I came up with this idea, we're going to talk about an Amityville movie every Christmas. This seems like a good tradition for us. I kind of assumed we would talk about one of the wackier ones, but when you suggested this one, I'm like, you know what? It's right. We should go to the beginning because it is the first of the Orig Trig that we haven't discussed, and we should treat it seriously. And I bought it on Blu-ray. Let's talk about this movie. And again, I just think it's more intellectually interesting than filmically interesting.
Well, I also, you have to give it credit because a lot of subsequent haunted house movies, even Poltergeist, which did everything, you know, on a completely different scale, lifted a lot of stuff from the Amityville Horror.
Sure.
I think it may be one of the first haunted house movies that shows like a family pet reacting to something before anybody else, any human realizes there's something going on, that's like a number one trope in haunted house movies. You got the dog barking at nothing. You got the cat hissing, which, you know, of course in The Conjuring, they upped the ante on that by just killing the fucking dog immediately. Yeah.
That helps.
Like, I think literally the day after they moved in, like they found the dog like dead outside. The ghost, whatever is haunting the house in Bathsheba or whatever, it's just like, I'm not even fucking with that. But you've got the whole, people, who are like sensitive to spirits. As soon as they come into the house, they're like, oh, there's just bad energy here. And, it's a combination of that and the haunting.
Right.
And every subsequent haunted house movie has lifted from one or the other or both.
Sure. It should be noted that George, a guy who is in serious monetary trouble, has both a boat and a fucking motorcycle. Pick a vice, my guy. Like when we started this podcast, I'm like, well, I'm not going to start having a different sideline hobby. This is going to be the hobby. This is it. I can't also like start sailing. You got to pick one. Yeah, I have a family. I have a wife. I have a dog. I have a child. These things take priority. You got to choose one. And he's like, I'm a boat guy and a motorcycle guy. You don't know. No. Choose one.
Well, keep in mind that's, that could be, an attempt at, creating some sense of discord, because remember that he is not the children's father.
True.
He's their stepfather.
Yeah.
And I don't recall if in the movie they mentioned this. They are actually not married very long before all this goes down. I recall in the book, it's maybe a year or so. So, the kids.
She says to the real estate person, we just got married. So,
yeah. So, I think that he came into, suddenly playing daddy with the boat and the motorcycle.
Sure.
and all that. So the fact that his first thought upon, not being able to work is, well, maybe I should sell one of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that tells you a lot about the character and his motivations, but yeah.
I do love that scene in the kitchen in which Kathy is constantly getting phone calls that don't connect. And then a summer breeze makes me feel fine goes through the room.
Yeah, you can tell that Kathy's next Catholic because like she smells like roses or something, and that means like the Blessed Mother is there with her. I always heard that as a kid. If you smell roses,
that's the one thing about the Blessed Mother is very rosy. Yeah, just rose.
Yeah, she likes that. She likes that rose water perfume. Just like Grandma.
Oh, yeah.
It's a special Christmas edition of Thursday Night Football, and it's only on Prime Video. Tonight, the Denver Broncos take on the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas night. Cap off your holiday with an old-school rivalry. For the Kansas City Chiefs on the defensive side, can they create enough pressure to upset this really good Denver offense? Grab your favorite holiday snacks, huddle up with the family and friends, and get ready for fireworks on the field. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with football's best party, TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. It's the Broncos and Chiefs tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
I just have to say, as far as a movie ghost goes, Jody is not scary. It's just not.
He's just a little piggy. He's just a guy. He's a little pig.
He's just a guy with some glowing eyes, but it's not neither in the pig form nor the glowing, these batteries aren't working quite right, light bulb eyes. Neither version is particularly spookifying.
Was this R or PG when it came out?
I want to say it's PG, but it could be R.
Yeah, because it feels restrained. Like it's I'm always a fan of if you want to make your movie scary, make it scary.
Yeah.
And there are people who can do an effective PG or PG-13 horror movie. Again, Poltergeist. Yeah. But it sort of feels like Rosenberg was unaware or uninterested in finding out how far he could go with making things scary. So rather, you have a lot of, reacting to things, but not showing the audience what people are reacting to. Like again, you really have no idea what Rod Steiger is, going through.
You just know that he's going through it.
Like he kind of does this like, ew, stinky kind of waves his nose at one point, but like, that's it. So it's like, okay, is he completely overwhelmed by the stench that's come into the room? Or, is something like touching him or can he see something that the audience can't see? Because, I take the New York City subway almost every day. Sure. I have smelt some smelly smells that smell smelly.
Yeah.
And but I'm not like grimacing and sweating and like doubling over like I just had a bad taco. So I what's supposed to be happening to him and why is it supposed to be scary?
You're not having the right damn enchiladas. A, B. It was rated R in the United States upon release.
Really?
Yes, it was rated X in the United Kingdom. So
get the hell out of here for what?
It appeared nudity, although that's not necessarily would normally have happened in a PG rated film of the time, but you're getting close to that 80 sort of tipping point. Violence and gore. There is some blood and shooting, even though you're not seeing the kids full on. They are shooting bloody holes in children in the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
And profanity.
Fine.
So
this is, I don't know. I just feel like, he kind of wasted an R rating on stuff like that when he could have just, gone harder on the actual scary stuff.
I agree. I don't think it's particularly directed well. I think it's one of those movies that's more interesting to talk about than it is to watch.
Yeah, and again, I think about like, you know, what The Exorcist did, which did not, you know, go hard on nudity and not particularly on profanity, with the exception of, you know, the horrible things.
When it goes hard, it goes hard, baby.
But, you know, right, kind of saves that, you know, kind of saves that up. You know what I mean? And then, you know, kind of holds the audience's hand, then turns around and, like, you know, punches the audience hard in the balls. You know, I mean, with some of these, like, you know, shocking scenes. Whereas, like, Amityville, it's, you know what, it's a good introduce. You know, if you want to introduce a kid to scary movies, it's pretty good for that.
Sure, yeah.
You know, it's not terribly scary.
No, I mean, I'll tell you what isn't scary. When Father Delaney, after he goes blind from monologuing too hard, gets shipped off to the Institute for Priests Who Don't See Good and want to do other things good. That place looks awesome. You just have lunch out by the river. That looks great.
Yeah, he's just. It cracks me up again. And like I said, this is pretty much how it plays out in the book too. He's absolutely useless as a character. Like you, he does so little to either like help them or move the plot along in any appreciable way.
Yeah. That
you could cut him out entirely, and it would not. You know, it would not affect the movie. Like, you know, there's been other people in the house who had the same upsetting experience. You've got this nun who I think Kathy said it was her aunt or something. And then you've got this, was it the co-worker's girlfriend, Helen Shaver's character?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, so bring her in earlier into the movie. And just, you know, have her have this weird experience, and then, you know, then she could go through all, you know, the histrionics that Rod Steiger's character goes through. But like his character just does nothing.
But I would argue that is one of the things that the film is really trying to propagate, that the church is powerless in the actual ability to do anything up against a house that has legitimate power. Like, they talk a good game and everything, but when they're in that room and Murray Hamilton's like, hey man, we've seen all sorts of phenomena, but there's nothing to say it's satanic. Give it up. And Rod Steiger's like, oh, we're just going to ship people around again and keep it quiet. And you're like, ooh, hey, we just touched on something that's interesting. But the movie doesn't want to investigate it any more than that. And it kind of puts that in the background once again and has toilets overflow. It's just, you know.
Well, that's the real horror.
Truly.
I mean, you ever have a toilet back up? That's horrible.
And no, it's not fun.
That's the devil's work right there.
Truly. I can't see any scene in which a wall bleeds and not think of the Ghostbusters scene in which the guy in the mayor's office goes, the walls of the 86th precinct were bleeding. How do you explain that? The way he says bleeding, I could write an essay about that. I could talk about it for 15 minutes, I think. Bleeding. I don't know who that gentleman is, but I want to investigate it now that I've become obsessed with it while on air.
Uh-oh, now we've done it.
Anything else that we need to talk about when it comes to...
You know, like I said, we didn't you know, a violent argument did not break.
No, honestly, I don't think we're that far apart.
Yeah, it's, you know... A lot of it is tied up in nostalgia for me, because I did watch this movie as a kid.
Sure.
And, you know, I as I said, my aunt kind of casually mentioned, it was like, oh, you know, the house they did the outside of the Amityville Horrors, you know, right near where I live. It's like, it is? Take me there right now. And she did. It's, you know, I respect it for how many subsequent movies it influenced.
Sure.
And, you know, certainly, you know, when you go into, you know, as But by the time you get to the second movie, you'd be like, oh, okay, this is the tasteful one.
Right.
Whereas, the rest of them are just completely batshit.
Right.
Some in a highly entertaining way, and most of them in a, about 45 minutes of this, I'm good. The real story behind it is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It also brings in, to bring it back to The Conjuring again, it brings in our pals Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were instrumental in bringing the story to light. This is the real Ed and Lorraine Warren, the con artist Ed and Lorraine Warren, not the attractive couple of the Conjuring series,
not the sex on
which is
legs
interesting
that exists in the movie universe. Yeah.
Right. But, in the first Conjuring movie, it does end with them, being called about a house in Long Island. And it's like, oh, here we go. But they've yet to actually do a movie that takes place there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that feels too obvious for them or it's just been done. So I'm not even sure how you could do it differently at this point. Right. There have been so many movies in the Amityville series that have, and I'm not even talking about the ones that are just like, Amityville Dollhouse, Amityville Time, Amityville Clock, it's, ones that are supposed to be in the house that, they've redone the story so many times. They a couple of years ago, they redid the whole, which was essentially the story of part 2, which was really kind of a prequel. They've done that one again. They, of course, have done the 2005 remake, where the only thing really worth watching about that is Ryan Reynolds's ridiculous, absolutely suburban dad abs.
I mean, in terms of a horror movie with cum gutters, it is A+.
I do like that. I assume that it's not supposed to be Christmas time anymore, because he's walking around in those pajama bottoms with no shirt.
Oh man, there is low rise, and again, to wear pajama bottoms that low, you got to get 2 haircuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say that is rated P for pubes.
But he looked fine in that motion picture. He does not look haunted. It is badly acted and not particularly fun. And I don't know.
No, it's you get to see more. You get to see more traumatized children in it. Like this one, they do show some of the ghosts.
Yeah,
and they're kind of going for that whole 13 Ghosts, the milky eyed, decimated side of the head kind of thing. Sure, and it's like, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I see it. I respect it. I get it. Maybe it's just not for me. Will we return to Amityville for Christmas next year, do you think?
I mean, there's so many, and like I feel like Amityville 2 in some ways there's so much to talk about with it, but it's also such a grody movie at the same time. I'm not sure I want to talk about it again. 3 is like, we don't ever need to talk about 3 again.
No, we did that.
I have both written and been on other podcasts about the haunted lamp one.
Okay. Listen,
I think that's the 4th one, but I'm perfectly willing to talk about it again, because again, there's a lot happening in that movie.
I feel like this is the medicine we have to take. If we had done this earlier and we had started here and then gone 2 and 3, obviously we would be having a lot more fun in the goofier end of the pool of Amityville. But I feel like we had to get this out of the way because it was one of the Orig Trig we hadn't talked about. So it needed to happen for completion's sake. And so it has. If people respond to Amityville for Christmas, like Saw's Giving, it will be this tradition that we fear will come back again and force ourselves to do every single year. But, if the audience goes, I'd rather not, we'll It'll be a one-off, just like The Possession in 3D. Who's to say? We can close it off, but the audience will dictate that. So we must note, however, we won't, just so that everyone knows, we won't be back next week. We won't be back until January. We're going to take some time off for Christmas, and then we will be back to see you in January with fun new episodes. And if you want to hear more of us, I would urge that you go over to Patreon, where, lo and behold, we talked about a music video directed by the Oscar-winning director of The Exorcist. William Friedkin directed a Laura Branigan music video that is batshit insane, Gina.
Oh, yeah, I did not know what I was going to be in for, and it wasn't that.
I mean, it is very tarp heavy, but if you were wondering, is it worth it for me to come over to Patreon to hear more of Kill by Kill? That will pretty much guarantee that you will be. Also, it was supposed to be a listener request month, but if you are on that tier level that you choose a movie for us, make sure that you have an email that you actually respond to. Otherwise, you might miss out on your chance. Also, we are doing our Friday the 13th commentary series, and at the end of the month, we will have a brand spanking new Friday the 13th Part 2 commentary for you to listen to. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television at thespool.net. I also have a Substack, GinaWatchesThings.substack.com. You can find me there. Whatever remains of Twitter, I'm Gina Does Things there. And I am also under Instagram under the same name.
Excellent. Do it today, people. Check it out. You can find us all over the interwebs, but most importantly, maybe at Patreon as Twitter comes crashing down around us. Join us over on Facebook if you still got one of those. We've got a fun group happening there. Instagram as well. But that just about does it. Don't worry, folks. The body count will continue in 2023. For myself and for Gina, thank you for being with us this year. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.